Hello guys, myself Amrita. Welcome back to our channel TechnoSage. So in today's video, we are going to see how to write insert into statement in MySQL. So let's get started. Insert into statement is basically used to insert new records in the table. For example, if you have a table called employee and you want to add the data for a new employee, so you can use insert into statement. So there are two ways in which you can write your insert into statement. One is if you want to add the values for all the columns in that particular table, and another one is if you want to add only few of the columns. So let's see how we can write in both the ways. Let's say if we have a table called employees and we have four columns called employee ID, employee name, city and address. And in the first case, if we want to add the values into all the columns, then we have to write insert into table name. So in this case, we can see that table name is employees and then values, and then we have to provide the values for all the columns. So in this case, we have four columns. So our values will also be four: value 1, value 2, value 3 and value 4. So value 1 will be for employee ID, value 2 would be for employee name, value 3 for city and value 4 for address. For example, if a new employee joins in and you want to add the data for that employee, but at this point of time you have only the detail of employee name and city. So for adding values for only specific columns, you need to provide the column names in the insert into statement. So the statement is written like this: insert into table name, and before providing the values, you also need to provide the column names. For example, column 1, column 2, and then similarly values. And there will be only two values since we have only column 1 and column 2. So value 1, value 2. So like this. So in this case, suppose you have four columns and you are adding the values for only two columns. So other two columns will be added as null. Go back to our MySQL workbench and try writing these queries. So I already have this company database with a table called employees, and this employees table have these four fields, or you can say that four columns. Now we are going to write the insert into statement to insert values for these columns. First we'll add values for all the columns. For that we will write insert into. Now when you are adding the values to the table, you also need to provide the name of the database. How you can provide that is company dot employees. That means in company database you want to add these values to the employees table. And then values, here we are not providing the name of the column since we want to add the values for all the four columns. First column is employee name. It will be added in the same order as the columns. So employee name, employee ID, and then address, and then city. Okay. So when we run this query, a new employee called Jack will be added with all these values. Suppose you want to add multiple employees, then how you are going to add? Just put a comma and provide the values for another employees. Let's say John with the ID called 456 and then some address and city at the end. Just remember, when you are adding values to the strings, you need to provide that value in the single quotes. Otherwise, it will throw an error. And also in MySQL, whenever you are ending a query, you have to write the semicolon. So let's run this query and see if the data is added in the table. Let's run and see the output. So you can see here that query is successful. Now if you want to see whether these particular values are added in the table or not, just go to the schema, select the column names and right click, and you can see here select rows. Just click on this and you can see here the complete table. So you can see employee name, employee ID and address columns with the two new employees, that is Jack and John. And now we'll write another insert into statement where we will add only few of the columns. Insert into database name dot table name. And now we have to provide the column names as well, since we are going to add the values only to the specific columns. So suppose in this case we are providing only employee name and city, then you have to provide the same way values employee name and city, right, semicolon. Now we'll run this query and we'll see whether this data is added into the table or not. Just run the query. The query is successful. Same way, select the columns and right click, select rows, and you can see here that this new data with the name called Mary has been added. And since we haven't provided the employee ID and address for this particular employee, it is showing null. I hope you understood how we can insert the data into the table. Please let me know in the comment section if you have any doubts or any questions. And if you want to see how to create a database, how to create a table, I have another video. I'll mention the link in the description box. You can go and check that out. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe our channel. Thank you guys.